Hello, everybody. How we doing? Anybody get wet on the way in? You got cooled off. It's a good thing. So I brought my umbrella, which means it won't be raining when we leave. That's almost always what happens. Okay, so are we all ready? Are we all ready? Can you hear me okay? Okay, cool. Did you have any thoughts or questions from last week? I know it was fire hose. I still have some more things to share. But any comments or questions about last week? Anyone? Bueller? Okay, so tonight we're going to develop strategies for our health. We're going to cover a few things again first. I did want to just share, because I have some props up here. Anybody know what this is?
Foam roller.
This is a foam roller. It's a foam roller. And there's several different styles. Some of them are totally round. They don't have these ridges. You can get them at Target, Walmart, sporting goods, places like that. This substitutes for a masseuse. This does like a deep tissue massage on where you need it. What's that?
I was telling Meredith, I use it all the time.
Yeah, so it's really helpful. And you can get it for like $30. By the way, a massage table that you buy, that folds up, where the memory foam is up, they're like $150, $200. That's not a bad investment for your marriage relationship and also your health and stress. So I'm just going to put that out there and you can get them online and elsewhere. Who knows what this is? Holly. What's it called? Theracane. Not a hurricane, though it might be going on outside. A theracane. And I don't know if this one calls it's by Buddy Back Buddy. But I know it looks like it's right out of the Klingons or something of Star Trek or something. There's no blades. What this is for trigger points. So this is when you have that knot back there, which I call Little Jessica, and she has one she calls Little Rob, This is, you put it on there for about 30 seconds or so, and it just kind of helps it unravel, kind of helps it sort itself out, and you get that tension release. And I have a cool little book on it, Trigger Point Self-Care Manual. You probably have something similar, but it's again, $30 or so versus going to chiropractor or something like that. And that's not to say you never go to, a masseuse or a chiropractor, but if you can reduce those things, this is something that's good for your health and your wealth. Anybody here ever have back pain? A few of us. Okay? Foundation. Anybody heard of the foundation? Sorry, I'm getting caught with this cord here. So foundation, developed by some chiropractors, these are some exercises you can do to strengthen the whole posterior, from the glutes all the way up. And they have different exercises. Warning, you have to stick your butt out when you do them because that's good posture. Most of us aren't used to doing that. In fact, last week I mentioned I find myself cheating all the time with posture. And not just at my desk, but even when I bend over to pick up a pencil, I go like that, which is not good, but I should go down like that, which is also really good for my legs. So it's just one of those things to train ourselves in. And that's one of the things I want to talk about today is kind of setting yourself up, adding in little things here and there that you can do within your health restraints, obviously, that you can do to kind of add good habits into your day. So balance. Balance is huge. As we get older, our balance gets less and less. In fact, I saw this, it was on National Geographic. What was the name of it? I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't The Science of Stupid, though. I love that show. There was another one where they had a guy, he was behind a board, he couldn't see people, but they would tell him their age, and then they would stand with one leg up, eyes closed. And we are at the bottom of a hill. So he could tell how old the person was based on how long they stayed up, or vice versa. So your balance decreases the older you are. Obviously, a 2-year-old, has some issues, but you get like a 5, 6-year-old, they're gonna have much better balance than a 49-year-old. But we can do things to help that. When you're brushing your teeth or you're pumping gas, you can stand on one leg, Obviously, if you're in the shower, you don't want to necessarily close your eyes and stand on one leg because you might go through the door or something like that. I don't want that. But, just when you're putting your socks on, you can do one of these things where you're standing and doing it. I don't expect you to jump into your pants or anything, but, except Ed, of course. But, these are little things we can do to help our just daily balance. Again, just like bending over to pick things up versus going over like that, which I find it's so easy to cheat on that. They have YouTube videos demonstrating most of their exercises. So if you have those back issues, I really recommend the rooster, but the basic one is really good too. And you just experiment with them. Again, the book was like $15, Amazon, maybe less. Last week we talked about the glycemic index. This is how much a food increases your blood sugar level. And the glycemic load is what that really looks like in a serving balance. So I'm going to pass this around, just take a look at some of the different categories and kind of make a note of some of your favorite foods and what that looks like. For example, you see here fruit, and we all know you're supposed to get lots of fruits and vegetables, right? I mentioned you probably need 5 to 1 vegetables to fruit because fruit is a lot more sugary than it used to be. So we don't want to get too much fruit, especially juice and stuff like that. But when you look at this, you say, okay, well, banana, a ripe banana, glycemic index, glucose is 100, a banana is 62. An orange is 40, grapes are 59, raisins are 64. So the highest on here are raisins, which we think is a healthy snack. And again, it's healthier than Snickers or something like that. But if you're going to go with fruit, maybe you go with something lower, like blackberries or raspberries or something like that. And so you look at your vegetables, you look at your grains and cereals, and just, it's information. You can find this online. I just happen to, this came with a book I bought, but you can just look up glycemic index for grains or fruits or just in general, and you'll find something. Keep it on your computer as a favorite, So here, actually you're in the front row. You get that? All right. Another thing. So last week I talked about vinegar, like the organic, the raw vinegar with the mother. I mentioned that, as something where I had some bumps on my forehead. I just kind of put down with a cotton ball, and some of them went away. I think what happens is the longer you've had it, the longer it's going to take. But I don't really know. I just know I've had 3 or 4 kind of bumps go away. So who knows? But this is a cool little book, and you can get books like this all over, natural remedies, grandmothers, old wives' tales, things like that. What I like about this, okay, anyone know there are 3 things scientifically proven to reduce the length and severity of a common cold? Anyone know what those are? Zinc, vitamin C, and chicken soup. Chicken soup is scientifically proven to reduce the length and severity of your cold. Do all 3 and you'll nip that thing in the butt. So again, there's some truth to some of this. Some of it, maybe like leeches and stuff, maybe not. But, it's just food for thought, and that's what we're all about. Anybody ever see those Life is Good t-shirts? I've got a bunch. In the little corner here, they have a little expression, a little thing sewn on there. It says, like what you do what you like, or vice versa. And that's kind of my philosophy with exercise. That's kind of my philosophy with eating, like vegetables and stuff. I'm sorry, Jeff, what'd you say? Oh, that was a baby car. I'm sorry. I thought that was it. So try different vegetables, because a lot of people go, I don't like vegetables. Well, there's hundreds of kinds of vegetables out there. You're going to like something, and it's going to be good for you. It's going to have fiber, it's going to have vitamins and minerals, and it's going to be tasty. I actually like Brussels sprouts, the way my wife makes them now. I've hated those my whole life because they are boiled and mushy and nasty. But she roasts them and she sprays them with, like this oil and, like sprayed coconut oil, I think is what she uses, or olive oil, and then salt and pepper, and she roasts them for 3 or 4 minutes each side, and that's just really good, especially the little leaves there. Well, I never knew that. Asparagus, I wasn't a fan, but she drizzles this stuff on it, and she puts this Parmesan cheese on it, and it's just like, that's good stuff. So experiment out there. Use different spices. Health, things like, exercise. Most of us actually kind of enjoy throwing the frisbee in the park or something, and it's actually good for you. There's all kinds of things that we can do, but we think, exercise, treadmill, exercise, go in the gym, exercise. There's a lot of things that are really good exercise, like gardening. A lot of people enjoy gardening. And like I mentioned last week, if you weed going like that, you're going to feel that exercise really quick, especially the next day and the day after, But don't just think of exercise as, I've got to do this, certain things. Because actually that's not really good for you, neither mentally, emotionally, or physically. You want to mix things up as much as you can. Ed, you lift weights, right? Is it wise to do the same, let's say you're working biceps, is it wise to do the same bicep curls every time? No, you have to mix it up because your body is smart. Your body is very adaptable. And once it figures out what you're doing, it's going to say, okay, well, I want to be as efficient as possible. So it's going to figure that out, and it's not going to give you much return for your health. So you need to mix up. That's the whole philosophy behind P90X, right? It is. Yeah, he doesn't know, but it's true. So again, you want to mix things up. Who needs a frisbee? See, like we just had fun. That was right there. Okay, now you hold on to it. Intercepted! So I brought the handouts. If you missed any classes, so we have the overarching core scriptures. Anyone remember what those are? Because these really apply to everything. One, love your neighbor as yourself. This is about loving ourselves. Life to the full. The thief comes to kill and destroy, but I came to give you life to the full. What does that look like for your wealth or your health or your relationships? Enter through the narrow gate. For wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction. Many enter through it. What does the wide road look like for our health? So we've had those conversations. We also have up here some of those recommended books. I hope everyone is reading a book. Remember, he who sows sparingly will reap sparingly. He who sows abundantly will reap abundantly. So you're going to get out of all of this what you're putting into it while you're reading and processing and underlining and circling and putting stars by and writing notes to yourself. We have the scriptures on wealth here. We have the scriptures on health that we covered last week. We've got the wealth building tips, that 13-pager. I am working on the health tips. I'm thinking about around 6 or 7 pages right now. There's just so much out there. And then we also have this handout here with different scriptures on budgeting and family and spending and saving and things like that. So feel free to take that. So a few things I wanted to cover. Going back to Ed, actually talking about resistance and strength exercises. Again, I mentioned last week, most everyone, unless your doctor specifically says you shouldn't do this, most of us can benefit from doing strength exercises at least once a week. The larger muscle groups, if you're going to build muscle, and by the way, muscle is more efficient for your body, so it's not going to reduce your weight. It weighs more. But it's going to burn fat. It's going to burn calories a lot more efficiently.
Rob,
Yes, ma'am.
one of the things that we've noticed in our offices is people will exercise, but they neglect their hips. And moving your legs to the side and getting your hips going that way to the side. We notice in the elderly, that's why they have a lot of hip problems. They haven't been exercising this way. They walk this way. But you've got to work out this way.
So yoga would be good for that, and some of those other stretches. My dogs do that all the time.
You're moving your legs out to the side. Yeah, do the dog, lift your leg. You know, it makes a big difference in building your hip muscles and preventing those broken hips when you're older.
Thank you. And actually, you reminded me of something else. Anybody here ever take martial arts?
Yeah.
Okay, are you familiar? In the class I took, Aikido, they talked about push-pull. Did they call it something like that? Which basically you're going to plant your foot, and then you're going to pull your foot. Push and pull. Same thing with formal dancing. Remember Eliza Doolittle and the Rhine and Spine, you know, and you don't walk like that. You're walking flat, right? When you're walking on ice, when you're walking on surfaces that are unstable, do that kind of push-pull where you plant a foot, and you're going to look like this. You're going to look and maybe feel silly, but you're not going to fall most of the time. And I don't know about you, but I've had loved ones who've had a fall, elderly loved ones, and things just seem to kind of continue from that point. They just had problem after problem. So again, that push-pull, it goes again with like just maintaining our balance and finding that into your day, putting your socks on, and things where you're just doing little things for your balance. You know, same thing with that kind of push-pull, especially come like November, December, January timeframe. So thank you for that reminder and for that, those words about, you know, exercising the side there, the hips. Yeah. So when you're doing your exercises, your strength, your resistance exercises, form is utmost. Form is key. You don't want any injuries because it's going to sideline you. The worst thing to have, I think, is a hurt shoulder, you know, because you can't do anything. You know, can't even answer the phone. You know, it hurts so bad. So if you need to hire a personal trainer just to learn the right form, it's a good investment. But you can also talk to someone who's been doing it a long time. You know, the whole buddy system. You can also even go on like YouTube and find dozens of examples of how to do things. So, and different exercises, you know, bicep exercises or squats. I have back issues, I mentioned last week. I have a hole in my spine. So I don't lift a lot of weight, but I will do squats with dumbbells, 20, 30 pounds, you know, or even air squats after I've had a high carb meal. But you know, it's not, I'm not going to be out there with the big barbell, you know, with all the plates like Ed will, you know. Okay, so form is key. Bless you, bless you. Recovery is probably the next biggest thing to minimize your injuries. A large muscle like your back, your chest, your legs, it's going to need about 4 days to recover. And, well, that's what I have learned. He's arguing. So, and that's fine. Some smart people can disagree. He's wrong, but you know. Anyway, but give your body, and you'll learn what your body needs. I think younger people probably need less recovery time. When you get older, you need a little bit more recovery time. So what's happening when you're lifting weights, especially if you're lifting heavy to build muscle, like little guys like me have to do, you're damaging your muscle. You're damaging your muscle, and your muscle needs time and the right food to heal, and it's going to heal a little bit bigger. That's how those guys build. And what is the food that you feed it? Protein. Right. Protein. Protein. And I would stay away from processed foods, which means I would stay away from most processed protein as well. But it's hard to eat enough protein to build muscle if you're eating, you know, all natural. So, but something to consider there. So smaller muscles like your arms, especially mine, your delts, your shoulders, triceps, they need maybe 2 or 3 days to recover, you know. But give your body enough time. If you just lift once a week, that's probably fine for a lot of people. And again, the rest of the time, 4 or 5 days, something aerobic, you know. And again, it could be you're just taking a long walk in the morning and after dinner or something like that, which would be great for your digestion as well. Okay, cholesterol. So I was talking to Holly about this a little bit, and this is a very confusing issue. In the 60s, when we were talking about the diet-heart hypothesis, that dietary cholesterol leads to high blood serum cholesterol, which leads to heart disease, which that's what they thought, that's what they taught, that was the guidance that was given out. There was one cholesterol number they knew, and it was total cholesterol, basically. About a decade later, they figured out, well, they got the high density lipoproteins, the HDL, and you have the low density lipoprotein, LDL. And so we got those numbers, and now we all know, most of us, if you have those annual exams and things, that the LDL is lousy cholesterol and the HDL is healthy. So you want a low LDL number and you want a high HDL number. And if you have a high LDL number, your doctor is going to say, hey, you probably need to go on statins because you're at risk for heart disease. Problem is that science is from the 70s. We actually know for the last 15 years or so that if you actually look really close at those lipoproteins, are subparticles. Some of those subparticles are small and dense, and they're actually very dangerous because if you have irritation, inflammation in your arterial walls, those small, dense lipoproteins, it's like little BBs. It's like shotgun pellets, and it's irritating even more. And they may get wedged in there, you know, like that little piece of popcorn kernel that's stuck in there, and you don't have any floss inside your arteries. And so your body says, let me heal that with some cholesterol. And if you have a lot of that going on, your arteries are narrowing. And then your blood pressure is increasing. And so those small, dense lipoproteins, those subparticles, that's dangerous. The problem is you might have a high LDL number and not have the small, dense ones. You may have the light, fluffy, buoyant ones. So really, you have to have more medical tests, lab work, to see what kind of subparticles you have. So doctors who automatically say, oh, you have a high LDL number, we need to put you on statins, they need to stop and say, well, actually, we need to do another lab test and see what those subparticles are. Yes, sir?
So the BBs aren't in the HDL at all?
No. Okay. No. And actually, the HDL is healthy. It's the good lipoproteins, low density, high density lipoproteins. Now, for HDL, when you go to websites and you say, hey, how do I increase my HDL? Most of them are going to tell you one thing, exercise. But there's actually another thing. They won't tell you because it goes counter to their life philosophy, which is animal fat. Animal fat will increase your HDL number. Now, it doesn't mean you just sit there and chew, you know, on the raw bacon or something, you know. I'm looking at you, Jeff. You know, but it's, you know, so again, so like I eat bacon, but I eat uncured bacon. It doesn't have the nitrates and nitrites. It doesn't have the sugar, things like that. Okay? What's that? It's bacon. It's just uncured bacon. That's my Seinfeld voice. Okay, not very good, I know. So, statins will lower your cholesterol, but you may not need them, and it's expensive, and it may actually cause some harm. As I was mentioning to Holly before this, your neurological system is composed of cholesterol. You need cholesterol in every cell membrane in your body. If you lower artificially your cholesterol, you can have some other side effects, some consequences. One doctor, an MD, he was put on statins because he had a high LDL, and he started experiencing just kind of brain fog. He was kind of confused a lot. And he said, I wonder if this, in a moment of clarity, he said, I wonder if this is related to this, because I've never had that. So he weaned himself off of the statins, and the brain fog went away. So he wrote a book on this, about how statins can cause this brain fog. But if you look at it as you need cholesterol for your neurological system, and your brain is neurological hub, well, then it kind of makes sense. And again, I'm not a neurologist, I can't get into that, but it does make sense to me. I encourage us all to kind of read into this. But again, if you If your doctor's told you that you have high cholesterol, I would ask, have we done that subparticle test? And if not, can we do that? And if your doctor argues with you, maybe get another doctor. Because, really, this is 15-year-old science. And if they're still not understanding that, then they're not really doing their continuing medical education. Just saying. One thing that's really, if you read anything, you get websites, you get these, I get emails from 3 or 4 different websites with updates and stuff like that. One of the things that is really resonating now and people are talking about are organ meats. Anybody read those? Getting anything on that? Organ meats, like liver. Huh?
Awful.
Yes. Yes. No, OFFAL. Because organ meats, who can tell me why organ meats would be beneficial? High in vitamins and minerals, very rich, some of the richest sources in our diet, whether you're vegetarian, omnivorian, carnivorous, huh?
Flexitarian.
I do not understand. So organ meats are very rich in a lot of things that we need. And most Americans are actually very deficient in a lot of vitamins and minerals because we just don't eat enough of the right things. So a lot of us don't like liver because we've always had it was dry and it just wasn't tasty, Experiment. Again, organ meats is probably something we should all be doing once a week. By the way, salmon is something you can do like a couple days a week, or fish, those fish with the good omega-3s. So I mentioned about exercising and moving and eating the things you like. Don't make eating or exercise an unpleasant chore. Find things that you enjoy, different vegetables, different things, and do those things. Because a lot of times food can be way more enjoyable than what we buy, these packaged things. But we haven't had much of an imagination or much adventure in our spirit when it comes to food. I ate something I thought was going to be horribly disgusting. It was pickled calamari, and it had tentacles on it. And it made the hair on the back of my neck stand up. It was delicious. After I got that first one, I was yeah, I couldn't get enough of it. And that was in a little place in southern Italy that you probably wouldn't get it in Milan or Rome or a lot of other places, but it was wonderful. So, experiment, try different things, and you may find a new favorite thing too. So last week we talked about, and we showed the slides for the obesity trends from the Centers for Disease Control. And it showed how from, 1990, I think, through 2011 or 2010, they showed every year Americans progressively got more and more higher incidence of BMI and things like that. One thing I didn't mention is that the obesity trends are higher in the church, Christian churches in America, than they are in America overall. Any ideas why that might be? I heard that in stereo. Potlucks?
We socialize, we eat dinner.
And what do we bring to potlucks? Comfort foods.
Yeah.
What are comfort foods? Very high, rich, carbohydrate, fried foods, casseroles. We also, I don't know if you've ever noticed this. I might be the only one who's ever noticed this. On Sunday morning, there's a little alcove. And inside that alcove are these really sugary pastries. Some of them have chocolate, some of them have powdered sugar. By the way, that's dessert. We're giving people dessert for breakfast for church. And then we tell them to sit down for 2 hours. Let's clap some more. Give me some more happy songs to clap to because I got all this energy all of a sudden. And now I can't stay awake because, yeah, exactly, the crash. Also, Bible talks. We bring chips especially the younger Bible talks, they got tortilla chips and queso, and they got potato chips and these big bowls of them. Are not that good for you. I saw a hand.
Oh, I was just going to say it's also one of the more acceptable ways to self-medicate in the church. Like it's not attacked like drinking or smoking or, you know, and so I think it flies under the radar because it's what we can do and not really get reprimanded or rebuked for it. And I mean, I think for me at least, food can be self-medication, comfort.
Well, I think you're very right. And that's actually one of the harder things about food and nutrition in general is because it has all this other stuff on it. Some of us probably, maybe not in this group, but in the church, and certainly in our circle of friends and family, we probably need to go to In Motion for food addiction, you know, because self-medication, you know. Comfort foods truly light up the pleasure center in our brain. I mean, they've studied it scientifically, it does that. And your body says, ooh, that felt good. I want more. You know, or when you're having a bad day, hey, that makes me feel better. I need to do that. Captain Crunch. You know, for me as a kid, it was graham crackers crushed up and add milk. You know, peanut butter and bananas, Elvis Presley, right? You know, hey, Scylla, how about a pea banana sandwich? You know? But that's one thing maybe being aware of. In our own Bible talks, we don't maybe bring that as much. Maybe we try and bring the veggie platter or something else, you know. I'll just put that out there. Okay, so let's talk about some of our health strategies. I do need a note taker. Again. Here, I'll give you guys them both, and you guys can add them. And so what would be some areas that we might want to develop a focus card? And again, focus card is what I call it. You can use whatever will work for you, Fitbits, you know, charts, things that you put in your bedroom, on your mirrors, things like that. Whatever helps you stay focused on the big things that you want to change, again, so we can get the big things, because life will distract us not out of us, you know? So I love making these into a prayer. I love adding in things like help me to love myself with my health, you know, in my decisions about what I eat or what I do, how I spend my time, you know. In the world of wealth building, they talk about pay yourself first 1 work hour a day. And that comes out to about 12.5% of your pay you would be saving and investing. So pay yourself 1 work hour a day. I would say for health, pay yourself 30 minutes a day. You got 24 hours in a day. Tell yourself, I'm going to take 30 minutes for me, for my health. Because I only have one body and one life. And so this is important to me. So I'm going to do this, you know? And we can do the same thing with like food prep and cooking. Cooking can actually be enjoyable if you're not horribly tired. You know, my mom hated cooking because my mom had 11 hungry kids. And they didn't say thank you and they didn't help clean up. And so she would just be about to sit down and then she'd be getting back up, you know, 11 times. We actually ate in shifts, about 3 or 4 at a time. I was always in the last shift, you know, so I got the ends of the loaf of bread, you know, the little broken parts, yeah, you know. But my mom hated cooking. My mom likes cooking now because she's experimenting and she's cooking for herself and she likes leftovers because next day, hey, I just heat that up and I have a great meal again, you know. I personally enjoy putting music on when I get home and then just playing around the kitchen, maybe 20, 30 minutes, you know. I love food prep Sundays, you know, to prep your vegetables, but also to make some things. Pork chops. Oh, I was going to bring a hard boiled egg and guys show you guys how easy it is to peel. That 15-5. Have you tried that?
I did try it. It did work.
You like it?
Yes.
We got 2 thumbs up. So, yeah, 15-5. Boiling water, add your eggs. 15 minutes, turn off the heat. 5 minutes, take it out and put it in the egg carton and put it in the refrigerator. Comes out easy to peel. I've had one or two, I think, in 5 months that were hard to peel, you know. So it happens. So without further ado, so let's start on some cards. And by the way, there is going to be a baptism out here. I think at 8:15. So we'll try and wrap up about 8:15. Otherwise, it'll just be incredibly distracting. We'd probably like to join that. But any topics, anything we can just throw out. We'll type these up. Well, we'll write them, and then I can type them up. I'll try and be faster about typing them up, and then get those out.
And what are you looking for again? Just
Any things that we would want. So it could be eating less sugar. Or eating less comfort foods, or exercising more, or anything, you know, it could be about self-talk when it comes to food. Help me, Lord, not to self-medicate with food. You know, it could be avoiding snacks, you know, whatever, you know. Tommy?
I know something me and Kirsten talk about a lot is it's easy with health to look at things like a diet, and if you look at it like a diet's going to end, it needs to be like a lifestyle change, not a diet, because diets eventually end, you're going to put the weight back on.
Yeah, yo-yo dieting.
And okay, I can have sugar in 30 days, then what's the point?
Right.
So there has to be a change in lifestyle.
Okay, so do we want to do one to help me to make this a lifestyle change? Okay. So who's going to take that one? Okay, Holly's got that one. So yeah, first one.
individual card for each? Okay.
What's that? Yes, please. Yeah. Yes, please. So help me, Lord, to make these changes a part of my lifestyle for the rest of my life. What else?
We're looking for cards.
Yeah, just like this. We're going to have 4 or 5 or 7 or 8 little bullets to remind. It could be probably something in about loving myself. Help me to remember why I want to be healthier. And we all know our own why, you know, and that might be the point to write it in. You know, when I email this out, you can just edit that and say, so I can feel better about myself and not self-medicate. So I'll have more energy, so I can see my grandkids grow up, you know, so I can do things with my kids now that they're actually able to move about, you know, and things like that. So help me to remember my why for health. Oh yeah, no, I would put that all on the same card. I'm sorry, I probably...
You said you wanted to make individual ones for each.
Oh, for individual areas. So, I'm sorry, I misunderstood the question. So, one card for making this a lifestyle change.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm a confusing guy. Crystal.
Help me to get the rest I need so I can take care of myself and my family and have good energy to serve you.
Help me to get the rest I need. And part of that is actually setting boundaries. Help me to turn things off an hour before so my brain can wind down. Help me to develop good sleep habits, you know, where I don't have a lot of bright lights in the bedroom. I don't have a lot of clutter in the bedroom because that's distracting. And there's something in my heart goes, I need to do something with that, you know. Help me not to do my bills in the bedroom, you know. Help me not to have a TV in my bedroom, you know, some of those things. For me, it's boundaries. For me, it's saying, it's turning things off, say like at 9 o'clock so I can actually be sleepy at 10 o'clock, you know. So for me, developing those good sleep habits. And that's so you can have the energy to make better choices the next day. Because a lot of people make bad health choices, and spending choices, by the way, when they're sleep deprived. You know, they're too tired. And the idea of peeling an egg is exhausting. So let me just, those things, it's true, you know? Even though it only takes 30 seconds, but, you know, we're just like, oh, I don't want to do that today. I just want to drive through Taco Hell or McDonald's or whatever, you know, and pick up the McGriddle or something, which is punishing us. I think loving myself, I probably already said that, loving myself with my health, you know, we need to mention?
I think another one would be help me to get up on time. I think something that works for me is having an appointment. So I'm going to the gym and meet somebody else there. So Lord, help me get up and make my commitments that I have to have a healthier body.
Okay. So,
or even if that's getting up and calling someone at a prayer at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay, we prayed about the day. Now we go about our days.
okay, and that goes to starting your day right as well, you know, in the right frame of mind. So making it a lifestyle. Help me to create routines for the day and for the week. So I mentioned, you know, should probably lift weights or strength exercises at least once a week, you know, and maybe the smaller muscle groups like biceps, triceps, delts, abs, you could do those, you know, 2 or 3 times a week. So maybe, you know, Monday or, you know, Sunday, Saturday, let's say Saturday morning, I'm going to do all my muscle groups. You know, I'm going to do my kettlebell swings, I'm going to do legs, I'm going to do chest and back, whatever. And then 3 days later, I'm going to do biceps and triceps and abs, you know. Obviously, I mean, you can do back and buys or chest. You can mix it up however you want, but you can kind of create your own routine for the week and make that part of, this is ongoing. I'm not doing this for swimsuit season. I'm not doing this for the family class reunion. I'm doing this for my big why, which is so I can see my kids, or so I can see my grandkids, or so I have energy, or so I can take care of my spouse, whatever your big why would be. And I would emphasize that big why. That sound okay, Tommy? I know you missed some. And again, guys, as we email these out, it's going to go as a Word document, so make it your own. Put your words in there, your scriptures. Ed?
Help me prepare beforehand so that I can do what I want to do easily. Like, I just get ready at night before the gym days. So I have everything ready, and then get up, bam, I'm done. I don't have to think about it. I don't convince myself.
Who's writing this one?
She's got it all.
Oh, she's got it all. She wants it all. Okay, so help me to prepare the night before, or just prepare in advance, or to prepare. And so that takes into account the night before. You have to work out. So basically, you learn from your own experience. Over time, I make excuses because I don't do things, and then I miss out, and then I don't do them. So let me learn from, actually let me stop and think about things and learn how to prevent those mishaps. Or
There's a good example was a guy who we worked out with that has forgotten his gym card over 10 times. And he's like, oh, I forgot my gym, can't find it, can't find it. I'm like, just buy 3 gym cards.
yeah, maybe leave it in your cup holder, you know, and then put it back in there. But that might be a motivation issue. I don't know. So food prep Sunday, you know, help me to prepare those foods, healthy foods in advance, which means I look at recipes. I talk to people. Hey, you know, what is a great recipe for? I actually have a real question. I have a great recipe for pork chops where you actually brine the pork chops so it's nice and juicy and you sear it. And it's great. Even microwave the next day, it's tasty. But I don't know what to serve with it. So we can have those conversations. And so after class, tell me what you would serve with really awesome, about 3/4, 1 inch thick pork chops. But this is something we can actually talk to people about, and we can get those ideas. So you're thinking in advance what you would do. And so it's actually a healthy, delicious meal. And very economical. Food prep Sunday, you know, a lot of us, we don't have those, we don't buy the vegetables, so we can't eat the vegetables. Or our vegetables are frozen or canned, so you actually have to buy the fresh ones. Then you have to use them, or they go bad pretty quick. I have thrown away a lot of produce in my day. The crisper is the wrong name for it. In most kitchens, it's the rotter. Yeah, so food prep means you cut that up, at least if it's going to be for snacks. You get it ready. You know when you're going to eat it, and you have it ready. And you have to kind of prep it right away, or it's going to be an out of sight, out of mind thing. And then you're going to open it up, and it's like, oh, it's kind of soggy bag. It's all liquid, you know. Avocados, I do not know how to pick a good one, and then you have to like get it just like in a magical half hour when it's good. Otherwise, it goes from like rock to mush. Like, at least in my house, I don't know. I might be exaggerating a slight, but not much. So, but yeah, that goes kind of that food prep. What would be some other examples? I think part of preparation is knowing proper form. So it might be, it might be, like I did this not too long ago. I went on YouTube and I looked for different exercises for a certain muscle group. And I watched a few videos. They're all like 5 or 6 minutes long, just different exercises for a certain muscle group. And I listened to the form and I actually practiced it. So it might be actually thinking about what you're going to do, you know, for your workout, for example, or strength training.
Just knowing what you want to do beforehand.
Yeah, so knowing.
Don't go to the gym and go, what should I do?
Well, that's kind of like, and we've all done this. That's like have a quiet time. Let's just see where God wants me to be today, you know. And it's a little aimless, right? And you might get something really good out of it, but the intentionality is helpful in our Bible study as well. So I'll just say that. So yes, Holly, and then.
Well, I think along with preparing for the exercise, the preparing for the food isn't just putting it in containers. It starts back with making a list before you go to the grocery store, so you don't walk aimlessly through the grocery store and go, well, that looks good today, and because I know I can get really tempted to go down the wrong aisles if I don't have my list with me and just stick to my list.
Absolutely, and that's a health and wealth synergy one. It helps your pocketbook if you have a list, and it helps your health. And you can't eat, candy at home if you don't buy the candy and bring it home. Well, if your loved ones don't bring it, But again, it's one of those things. What you buy is what you're going to be eating, So we can make those choices. I think that's great. I think I did email out a grocery list template. And it's a Word document, so you can add your own things to it that your favorites. So,
it's along the lines of preparation, but I think for me, exercise-wise, it helps a lot to have goals. And there's small goals, and then there's big bucket list goals. But goals are huge, either a 5K race, or if you don't like to run, whatever you want to do, a 14er or something. And then small attainable goals that you can do in a month or a week or goals really help me, and they help me to prepare, because if I know I'm going to do a marathon, I need a plan and I need to work that plan, and those kind of things help me a lot. So it's just putting it out there.
okay. Well, and I think you're absolutely right. I think your goals need to align with your why. The big why of why I want to be healthier. So, and then you have these goals that bring us closer to that, or are aligned with that. So, I'm trying to think of an example. What would be some of your goals, like a marathon, or Tough Mudder, or Rugged Maniac?
Marathon I did last year, and then triathlon. But having those goals just really keeps you focused on, on getting there, because that's my personality too, because it's on the list, and I was supposed to work out for.
I must climb that mountain and kill it. I will subdue you.
Yes, but or even just fun things like you're gonna buy yourself a kayak, or you're gonna, when you have little goals, it just helps. It's motivation.
It's energizing.
Yeah.
So.
Whatever you're into.
So, for example, having a race later in the year is something to train toward, and then that helps you keep it into your daily and weekly routines, so it stays part of your lifestyle. So that might be something we add in to adding into lifestyle as well. by having the goals. Cool. Any others? I'm looking at you. Any other, what would be a focus card that we want to add, you know?
You're a big
John?
runner, Meredith. You have lots of goals
Ed.
Say you develop accountability for partners.
Okay, so developing,
Get friends and people that will do it with you.
getting people involved in your health. Yeah, we can reword that, accountability. So it's finding people who have similar interests, similar goals, similar whys, and carving out time to help each other. It's also having conversations about how hey, I didn't see you. You still can't find your stupid card, huh? You know? So he's not being very accountable, is he?
Every day.
So what else would we add to that one?
Tina and I are discipling partners, and a lot of our due times are going for walks together, you know, and we're praying and talking and, you know, and exercising all at the same time. So it does help, it holds us accountable to each other, I think.
Okay, so just incorporating it into time together. You know, instead of it being let's order pizzas and talk or watch a movie, let's go for a walk. Now when it's 95, it's kind of hard, but you know, there are places you can go inside. My brother goes to the Mall of America at like 8 in the morning in the winter months in Minnesota. And he's doing 8 loops or something like that to get him to a certain point, you know. So yeah, adding it into your time together. At work, we can do walking meetings. One of the weird things at work, by the way, is people will send me an instant message or an email, and they're over there, and I'll walk over, and it freaks them out. Go, whoa, there's a person here, you know. I was like, yeah, I thought I would just get another 30 steps and actually, you know, talk to you versus sending 18 emails back and forth trying to get to that, you know. So that's actually helpful. And we're on 3 different floors in my building, so it gives me actually, when I'm going down to the 45th floor to see someone, I'm getting 100 steps, you know. So do that all day long, adding up. What's that? And I'm getting a flight of stairs too. You got it, Toyota. So, and adding in accountability. What would be, I'm trying to think of, so a scripture we could add to that would be as iron sharpens iron. Yeah, so we could add that scripture in there. I think part of the accountability is not just doing this for ourselves, but for them. And so it's, Lord, help so-and-so to become healthier as well. Or, you know, help me to love them enough to keep them accountable for this, because I know this is really important to them. So we're bringing God back into this. We're keeping it on love and those one another things. Help me to encourage my brother or my sister with this, and not to be, you know, the angry accountability partner, but the loving cheerleader. You know, you can do it. You know. Anything else, John?
Scripture that comes to mind is restored me to the joy of my salvation. You know, it's, I guess, part of the big why is, you know, the spiritual aspect of getting closer to God. But there's so many times mentioned the outreach to other people, as partners, or even to help them or whatever. But one of the things I learned in motion was that the way that we deal with our own issues is our evangelism, because other people are dealing with issues as well.
So I'm trying to think how to put that in the accountability, because we're going to do about a bullet. Help me to be joyful in this and in all things.
Have some fun with it.
Yeah, well, and you can, you know, have fun with it. Tommy?
I mean, I think it just makes me having the accountability, not only just accountability, but having people to celebrate victories. And I mean, it's kind of like a goofy thing, but I even think of like when I was in high school in football, I could squat or bench press or whatever so much more, having like people standing around you going like you can do it, and then like knowing like your like teammates or whatever and be like, yeah, you did it. Like
Come on, Tommy.
it makes a big difference.
It does.
Even just having the people to work out with or to celebrate like the victories of, hey, I lost 10 pounds, or having those things means a lot. And helping to encourage each other, but also spur one another on. Because I think like having someone there also that can like push you and spur you on, like to give you the kick in the butt if they need it, is helpful. So
I think you raise a really good point, and a very practical one too. You actually got energy and strength from people. And the whole idea of having a workout buddy or buddies or people that are helping you with cooking or eating or whatever is we are giving strength and energy to each other. The word encourage is to give strength, to give courage to each other. And of course, we can take it too. We know people who steal your energy. They're just, ooh, I have to minimize my time with so-and-so because I'm exhausted when I spend time with them. You know, we don't want to be that person, but you're right. You have fun with it, and you are there to energize and encourage others, and they're going to energize you. And by the way, it's like anything. When you love someone, it comes back on you. When you encourage someone, you find it comes right back on you as well. You know? And I think the last thing I would add to that one is help us to remember that your power is at work within us. You know? We are changing. We are becoming the men or the women that you made us to be. You know, that is one of those that energizes me, because I can get wrapped around the failures, the times when I skipped it, you know, the fatter day, you know, where I just really went off the wagon. I went to Dairy Queen, then I went to China, you know, I was going to say Kung Fu Panda, but Panda Express, and then I went to wherever, you know, and it's like, yeah, I really fell off, you know. But your power is at work, and I still want something different, so you're going to help me get there, you know, and Ed's going to help me get there. Scott's going to help me get there. Okay.
Maybe we can kind of encourage each other with recipes, too. So if you find a good, healthy recipe that you really like, share it with others.
I think that's great. In fact, this young man is developing a website that we're trying to put a lot of this stuff onto. We could actually even add suggested healthy recipes.
Well, I was thinking on all these points as a blog thing, people can just contribute stuff right then and there on.
Yeah, absolutely. You can do it anonymously or use initials or whatever you want to do. But yeah, we can post different focus cards, preferably in Word documents, so people can modify them and then make them their own. When I sent out an email earlier with a bunch of stuff on there. I'm sure you've already read them all. Yeah. So, but I also sent out these focus cards. I mentioned in there that I've used these focus cards to help myself and others. One person had a nail biting. He couldn't stop biting his nails. He's bit his nails as long as he can remember. And within about a month, he doesn't bite his nails anymore. Just kind of looking at it twice a day. What really helped, he'd been doing this for about 3 weeks and his nails were growing out. And his parents said, hey, we'll give you $10 if you get your nails as long as your mom's. And so he's very money motivated. And so now he's really onto it. But you know, it's just one of those things. He was already winning in that and changing a lifelong behavior. You know, and then we put things on there. I can post it or send it out if you want. But what I put on there was, you don't trust a skinny cook, and you're not going to trust a plumber who bites his nails. You know, I know, because you go, ew, yeah. But that's, you know, every time I go to the restroom here, I move the trash can to the door. Because I see people come out of a stall and not wash their hands. They grab that door handle. And I'm not going to wash my hands and then go grab that door handle. You know, so, but again, biting your nails, am I going to grab the door handle? Then, you know, things like that, you know. So that helped him when he realized how dirty his hands naturally are, and he's putting it in his mouth. And then what it looked like to his classmates when he but it made them look nervous or scared or whatever, you know. So, but I've built those for purity, for work production, things like that. So it can be very helpful. Okay, go to some. We have like 10 minutes. Is there another focus area we should just start with? Yes, ma'am, Nancy?
I'm not exactly sure if this is what you're going for, but for me, it's sugar. I love
Sugar.
I love cookies and donuts and cake and at my job, there's always stuff like laying out, you know, whatever. And so I'm just right now, I'm really praying to resist and to be very disciplined about not eating sweet stuff all the time.
Okay, so help me kick the sweet cravings or the sugar cravings. Okay? So there are strategies for cravings. One of them is if you can resist it for 5 minutes, you can resist it for 10. And if you can do that, the cravings will usually go away in 5 to 10 minutes. You know, so you think of something else. So help me to distract myself for 5 to 10 minutes from that craving. Help me to realize that sometimes I want things because it's sugar addictive or because it makes me feel better. And Lord, I should come to you to feel better and not to sugar or something like that. By the way, there was a study with rats. I don't know if I mentioned this last week or not, because I just start talking. I don't remember what I said. I hope it's coherent in some way. But they addicted rats to cocaine, where they would just go and they'd be able to get cocaine all day long. I'm sure it was like cocaine water or something, but you know. But then they gave them an option, and they could get sugar instead. It took 3 or 4 days, and the rats chose sugar over cocaine. Sugar is addictive. It does light up those pleasure centers. Yes, Superman, Supergirl, Superwoman.
With that, it's also, with sugar, you go through a detox period. Like if you don't have it for a month, you're not going to crave it as much because at that point your body's like, oh, I don't need that, and therefore you don't want it anymore. That's how I stopped.
Very good.
Soda.
Very good.
I didn't have it for a month. I was like, I don't care for it. It doesn't appeal to me.
And now it tastes really sweet if I have them. I'm like, ugh. Yeah, so help me to remember, Lord, that these cravings will subside. They will get less and less over time. What else will we put in there?
Are we looking for a new card topic?
No, we're still in sugar busting.
Oh, okay.
Sugar busting. Busting sugar. By the way, there's a great video out there, Dr. Lustig, on sugar. And sugar's inflammatory. It's incredibly inflammatory. So that might be something to put in there as well. Help me to remember how destructive sugar is to my body. It's inflammatory throughout my entire body, in my brain, in my veins. My digestive system is wreaking havoc wherever it goes. Trying to think what else we could add to that. Well, I think just, again, adding something in there about loving yourself. Help me to remember that sugar is not good for me. So loving myself is saying no to sugar or something like that. It might be worded differently. But I think that brings it back to why. Because I want to love myself. And sugar is not good for me. I mean, we don't smoke, right? Because we know that smoking is self-destructive. And yet so much of our daily habits are self-destructive. And we don't realize it. And like you said, it's one of those things that, you know, we don't get that look or we don't get talked to if we're doing that. So we can do that. Well, but is it loving? Help me to glorify you, God, with my body and my choices. Okay, new topic.
I was going to say,
Okay.
For a new card, that's my only thought I have.
Okay, so healthy habits. Help me, Lord, to know what healthy habits are, and help me to make them stronger habits. Help me to exercise with strength training at least once a week. Help me to stop drinking sodas and sports drinks and really rich, sweet coffees and energy drinks, you know, those Monster with all caffeine and sugar. And again, I'm not saying you can't ever have your Starbucks coffee, but don't make it a daily habit. Make it a once a week or once a month type thing, you know? Help me to get at least, or to eat at least 5 vegetables every day. Help me to avoid processed foods, including processed meats. I love bratwurst, but I just can't do them every week. Help me to eat organ meats once a week. I'm not there yet. My wife makes a great liver with onions and bacon. Bacon's magic. Bacon's what we put in other food to make it better.
That's true.
We wouldn't even know what a water chestnut tasted like if it wasn't for bacon. And one of the best things ever on earth, by the way, is bacon-wrapped shrimp. Mm-hmm. You had a hand up?
I was just going to say getting enough rest.
Yep, 6 to 8 hours.
And by the way, this is an important thing. Rest is huge, but we don't all need the exact same amount of sleep. Help me to figure out how much sleep I need, and then help me to create healthy sleep habits. Teenagers need more sleep than most of us. They really do. And they seem to be on a different clock for it too. But some people need 8.5 hours of sleep. Some people seem to do okay, and they will wake up with 6 or 6.5 hours of sleep. You know? But it's not one size fits all, but we kind of need to listen to our bodies. I think weekends or vacations are great for actually figuring out how much sleep you need and letting your body wake up on its own without the alarm. And then you kind of figure that out. You say, oh, I probably need about 7.5 hours of sleep. So that means for me to get that, I get up at 5, so I probably need to be going to bed about 9 so I can go to sleep at 9:30, you know? So you start figuring that out for yourself. I think that's huge. What are some other healthy habits? Well, aerobic exercises, 10,000 steps a day or something 5 times a week, 30 minutes a day. Yes, sir?
Something a little different. I mean, what I struggle with is like I'm diabetic, so taking my medicine every single day is a habit that I will skip a day or forget a day when I have to take it every day.
Well, and actually, it's not just medicine, but it could be your supplements. Like I take omega-3s. I take turmeric, you know, for brain health. So help me to remember part of preparation. Help me to prepare and remember and to make this a cemented, a very strong as steel habit to take my medications or my supplements or both every day. And by the way, if you're taking medications, you need to talk to your doctor to make sure the supplements don't mess it up. Just saying. Okay, that's a good one.
Get plenty of water.
Help me to get at least 64 ounces of water a day. And if I'm active, to get even more. Lemon water works really good. But, and by the way, when you're doing that, like I've said before, you don't have room for all that other stuff. You know, Supergirl, when I started hydrating every day, I didn't have room for sodas. And then when I had a soda, I was like you said, it was just like, it was way too sweet for me. You know, I was like, ugh. Those are a lot of good healthy habits. And if you think of any others, add them in. I think the fruits and vegetables, by the way, you should probably try and have vegetables at every meal and even like a snack. You can even have like spinach with your eggs in the morning. It's not a bad thing. Spinach is one of those things you should probably eat every day, by the way.
It's practically flavorless with almond milk or whatever if you blend it or whatever. And then I put my spinach in the freezer
There you go. Oh, we were talking about how you should probably have spinach every day, and John was saying he freezes it and then puts it in his smoothie with almond milk, and it's basically flavorless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you're not like, Kale, by the way, is never flavorless. Yeah, but it's not flavorless. Okay, it is right at 8:15. I know they're going to be starting, they told me 8:15 for the baptism. So we're going to wrap up a little earlier today. Thank you for taking notes, and sorry for my miscommunication earlier. Thank you, everyone. And if you have any suggestions for pork chops, side dishes, let me know.
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut?
Sorry.
Do you make your own sauerkraut?
I don't. I don't, but I need to.
Does anyone